Grigor Dimitrov, born the 16th of May 1991, is a Bulgarian professional tennis player. He has been ranked as high as world number 3 in singles by the ATP, making him the highest-ranked Bulgarian in history. Dimitrov reached the ranking after winning the biggest title of his career at the season-ending ATP Finals in November 2017. He has won 9 ATP Tour singles titles. Prior to his professional career, Dimitrov enjoyed a successful junior career, in which he reached the world #1 ranking and won consecutive major boys singles titles at the 2008 Wimbledon Championships and the 2008 US Open. In October 2013, at the Stockholm Open, Dimitrov became the first Bulgarian man to win an ATP Tour singles title. By reaching the 2024 French Open quarterfinals, Dimitrov became the second player born in the 1990s, after Daniil Medvedev, to complete the career set of both Grand Slam and Masters 1000 quarterfinals. As of 2025 Wimbledon, he was the male player with the longest active streak and all-time fifth longest of consecutive Grand Slam appearances, at 58, which ended when he withdrew from the US Open. Dimitrov was named Bulgarian Sportsperson of the Year in 2014 and 2017, marking the first and second occasions a tennis player received the honor since the award's inception in 1958. In 2017, he was also awarded the Balkan Athlete of the Year. In December 2024, he was selected the winner of the Stefan Edberg Sportsmanship Award. Early life, Grigor Dimitrov was born in Haskovo to father Dimitar Dimitrov, a tennis coach, and mother Maria Dimitrova, a sports teacher and former volleyball player, in 1991. He first held a tennis racket, given to him by his mother, at the age of 3, and when he was 5, he began to play daily. In his early years, his father served as his coach, but after he proved his talent in the tournaments for juniors, he made it clear that he would have to develop in other conditions. At the age of 16, Dimitrov turned professional. In 2007, Dimitrov joined the academy Sanchez Casal, where he was further trained under the leadership of Emilio Sanchez and Pato Alvarez. Since March 2009, Dimitrov trained in Paris, France, where he joined Patrick Mouratoglou's tennis academy and spent the next 4 seasons there. And he appointed Patrick Mouratoglou as coach for 2012. Personal life. Dimitrov began dating Maria Sharapova in late 2012. He and Sharapova only confirmed their relationship after the 2013 Madrid Open, where the Bulgarian managed his first win against a world #1, beating Novak Djokovic. Sharapova and Dimitrov separated in July 2015. At the end of 2015, he started discreetly dating American singer Nicole Scherzinger, the lead vocalist of the Pussycat Dolls. Their romantic relationship ended in 2019. Since then, he has been involved in relationships with businesswoman Lolita Osmanova, president of the Luxury International magazine, as well as Romanian actress Madalina Genia. Since April 2025, Dimitrov is in a relationship with Mexican actress Isa Gonzalez, confirmed through an Instagram post. In addition to his native Bulgarian, he speaks English and says his main interests are sports, cars, computers, and watches. Early in his career, he was given the nickname Baby Fed for his stylish play and on-court talent being similar to that of Roger Federer. Dimitrov's cousin, Alexander Vasilev, is also a tennis player competing on the ITF World Tennis Tour Juniors. He has reached a career-high ITF boys ranking of #2. Junior career. He claimed his first major junior cup, the U14 European title, at the age of 14. In 2006, he won the Orange Bowl U16 boys singles and was later named the Eddie Hare International 2007 Rising Star. In 2007, Dimitrov was the finalist at the Orange Bowl U18 boys singles, losing to Ricardas Berankis of Lithuania. With Vasek Pospisil, he reached the US Open doubles final, falling to Jonathan Isaric and Jerome Inzerillo. Dimitrov as junior Wimbledon champion for 2008. He began the 2008 Grand Slam season with a quarterfinal showing at the French Open, losing to Poland's Jerzy Janowicz in 3 sets. However, he went on to win Wimbledon after defeating Henri Kontinen of Finland in the final. He won the title without dropping a set despite playing with a shoulder injury throughout the tournament. The victory saw him join former junior champions Roger Federer and Stefan Edberg and guaranteed him a wildcard entry into the 2009 Wimbledon men's draw. His success continued at the U.S. Open, which he won on the 7th of September, defeating American qualifier Devin Britton in 2 sets. On his way to the title, he also defeated top seed Yang Tsung-Hua of Taiwan in the semifinals. After the tournament, Dimitrov announced that he was ending his junior career and focusing on improving his ATP ranking. On the 8th of September 2008, he became junior world number 1, overtaking Yang Tsung-Hua. He closed at number 3 of the junior ranking that year. Dimitrov compiled a singles win-loss record of 74-28 as a junior and 42-20 in doubles. Junior Grand Slam performance. Singles: Australian Open A, French Open QF 2008, Wimbledon W 2008, US Open W 2008, Professional Career 2008, ATP Tour debut. In 2008, Dimitrov began frequent participation in men's events. His first title came on clay at a futures tournament in Barcelona. His first ATP level match was at the Rosmalen Open, where he lost to Igor Andreev in straight sets. After his junior U.S. Open title, he won back-to-back futures tournaments in Madrid on hardcourt and rose 300 places to career-high ranking of 477. The achievement attracted enough attention to earn him a wildcard into the Madrid Open qualifying draw, where he lost to then number 64 Florent Serra of France. After being granted another wildcard to the Swiss indoors qualifying draw, he defeated number 122 Jiří Vaněk in 3 sets in the first round for his first ATP-level win, before losing to Julian Reister. 2009, first ATP Tour match win, Grand Slam debut. In 2009, he was granted a wildcard to the main draw of the Rotterdam Open and scored an upset over then world number 23, Tomáš Berdych, earning his first ATP Tour main draw win. In the second round, he faced world number 1, Rafael Nadal, and lost in 3 sets. He was granted a wild card to the main draw of the Open 13 in Marseille, but lost to world no. 8 Gilles Simon in the first round, despite serving for the match at 9th game of the 3rd set. He then completed 2 victories in the Davis Cup against Hungary. He lost to Denai Udamchuk in straight sets in the second round of the Bangkok Open. 4 first-round exits and challengers followed. He then reached the quarterfinals after qualifying of 2 successive challengers at the Trofeo Paolo Carazzi and Nottingham Trophy. He reached the second round of the Queen's Club Championships after defeating Ivan Navarro, but lost in 2 tiebreaks to Gilles Simon. On his Grand Slam debut at the Wimbledon, where he got a wild card as the 2008 Juniors champion, he won the first set of his first-round match against Igor Penitsyn, but then suffered a knee injury. Despite this, he attempted to continue, but lost the following 10 games before he retired. He was granted a wild card to the main draw of the Swedish Open, but lost in the first round to Guillermo Cañas. He reached the quarterfinals of the Challenger Open Castilla y León, losing out in 3 sets to Marcel Granollers. He then lost in the second round to Martin Fischer in straight sets at the Istanbul Challenger. As the 2008 winner of the U.S. Open Boys Tournament, he was granted a wild card for the U.S. Open qualification tournament. He won his first-round match against Tobias Kamke, but in the second round lost to the top seed of the qualifying, Tamás Bellucci. Dimitrov won his first doubles challenger title at the ATP Challenger Trophy with Teimuraz Gabishvili, beating Jan Minar and Lucas Rosol. He then received a wild card at the Stockholm Open, but lost in the first round to Jarkko Nieminen. 2010, top 250 debut, first challenger title. Dimitrov started the season with a quarterfinal finish at a challenger event of Internationaux de Nouvelle-Calédonie. He then attempted to qualify for the Australian Open, but lost in the first round to Robert Kendrick in 3 sets. Dimitrov in 2010, he bounced back a week later by qualifying at the Honolulu Challenger, but lost to Donald Young in the second round. Dimitrov then participated for Bulgaria in the Davis Cup, claiming all 3 wins in a 3-2 victory over Monaco. Following the Davis Cup tie, Dimitrov had a number of early losses in various challenger tournaments. Dimitrov won his first ATP Tour match of the year on the grass courts of the Queen's Club in London. He beat Alex Bogdanovic before losing to world number 31 Feliciano Lopez in the second round. He then had a great run in the Marburg Open, a challenger event, where he came through qualifying to reach the semifinals, where he lost to Simone Vagnozzi. Dimitrov again had a number of disappointing losses in challenger events and another Davis Cup tie. Dimitrov then participated in 4 futures tournaments, posting impressive results, including 2 tournament victories in Germany and another in Spain. Dimitrov gained enough points to enter the world's top 250 for the first time in his career. His good form translated to the Challenger Tour, capturing 3 consecutive titles, the first coming at the Geneva Open Challenger, defeating Pablo Andujar in 3 sets, and back-to-back titles at the Bangkok Open, where he beat former top 20 player Dmitry Tursunov in the quarterfinals and Konstantin Kravchuk in the final, and at the Bangkok Open too, defeating Alexander Kudryavtsev. He made an early exit in his first challenger after a 2-week break, but bounced back a week later, beating top 100 player Lucas Lacko and world number 32 Michael Lodra on the way to the final of the Open d'Orléans. In the final, Dimitrov lost to Nicolas Mahut in a 3rd-set tiebreak. After 2 disappointing challenger tournaments in Germany, in which Dimitrov suffered first-round exits, he reached the semifinals of IPP Open in Helsinki, his last tournament of the year. There, he played Lithuanian youngster Ričardis Berankis. After the loss of a tight first set in a tiebreak, Dimitrov dominated the second set, but was dominated in turn by Berankis in a 3rd-set loss. In an off-court incident after the match, Dimitrov pushed the chair umpire with both hands and swore at him because he felt he was treated unfairly after some close calls in the first-set tiebreak. Dimitrov was fined €2,000. By reaching the semifinals in Helsinki, Dimitrov reached his best-ever ATP World Ranking of number 106, 2011, top 100. His first tournament of the year was the Australian Open, where he advanced through the qualifying rounds with the loss of just 1 set. He defeated world number 38 Andrei Golubev to advance for the first time to the second round of a Grand Slam tournament, where he lost to 19th seed Stanislas Wawrinka. Nonetheless, Dimitrov achieved his top-ever ATP ranking ending January at world number 85. Thus, he became the top-ranked Bulgarian male tennis player of all time. Dimitrov then qualified for the Rotterdam Open, but lost to 8th seed Jo-Wilfried Tsonga in the first round in 2 sets. He then lost in the first rounds of the Marseille Open and Dubai Tennis Championships to Dmitry Tursunov and Richard Gasquet, respectively. Dimitrov then won the Challenger de Cherbourg, defeating defending champion and 2nd seed Nicolas Mahut in the final. He then qualified for the Miami Open, losing to Sergei Stakhovsky. Dimitrov became the first Bulgarian man ever to be seeded at an ATP World Tour tournament, being seeded 8th at the U.S. Clay Court Championships, but lost in the second round to Teimuraz Gabashvili. At the Barcelona Open, he lost in the first round to Juan Monaco. He had reached his first quarter-final in an ATP tournament at the BMW Open after defeating Marcos Baghdatis, but then lost to Florian Mayer in 3 sets. Dimitrov lost in the first round of the French Open to Jeremy Chardy. Dimitrov then advanced to his second ATP quarterfinals at the Eastbourne International after he defeated 6th-seeded Kevin Anderson in the second round, but lost in the third round to 3rd seed Janko Tipsarevic. He also competed in the doubles with Andreas Seppi and became the first Bulgarian man ever to reach a doubles final at an ATP tournament. They lost to Jonathan Ehrlich and Andy Ram. At Wimbledon, he lost a memorable second-round match to Jo-Wilfried Tsonga in a tight 4-setter. He then reached the second rounds of the Hall of Fame Tennis Championships and Farmers Classic, losing to Americans Denis Kudla and Alex Bogomolov Jr. At the Atlanta Tennis Championships, he fell to Rajiv Ram in the first round. At the Western and Southern Open, Dimitrov defeated Marcel Ilhan in the first round, but lost to world number 6 David Ferrer in the second round in 3 sets. He also played in the third round of the Winston-Salem Open, being defeated by Alexander Dolgopolov in a third-set tiebreak. At the U.S. Open, Dimitrov was defeated by Gael Monfils in the first round. At the Open des Moselles, Dimitrov was beaten in 53 minutes by qualifier Igor Sijsling in the first round. After that, in the Thailand Open, Dimitrov beat Ivan Dodig and Simone Bolelli before falling to Andy Murray in the quarterfinals in 2 sets. In his next tournament, at the China Open, he lost once again to top-seeded Jo-Wilfried Tsonga in the first round. At Shanghai Masters, Dimitrov beat Marcel Ilhan in the first round, but was defeated by Andy Roddick in the second round in 2 tight sets. At the Stockholm Open, Dimitrov beat Ryan Sweeting and Juan Ignacio Chela before losing to Milos Raonic in the quarterfinals. He ended the year ranked number 76. 2012. First top 10 win, top 50 year-end. Dimitrov started his 2012 season by competing at the Hopman Cup alongside Svetlana Pironkova. Their team was defeated by the Czech Republic 1-2 after they won a match in mixed doubles but lost their singles matches. Then their team defeated Denmark 2-1. Against USA, Dimitrov dispatched Marty Fish in straight sets in his first win, although not official ATP win, against a top 10 player. At the Australian Open, Dimitrov defeated Jeremy Chardy to reach the second round, but then he lost in 5 sets to Nicolas Almagro. Dimitrov competed in the Pacific Coast Championships, but lost in the first round to Kevin Anderson, despite winning the first set easily, lost the next 2 in tiebreaks. At Indian Wells, Dimitrov defeated Ivan Dodig in the first round, but lost to David Ferrer in the second round. Dimitrov's next tournament was the Miami Open, where he reached the 4th round, after defeating Mikhail Kukushkin, Juan Ignacio Chela, and upsetting world number 7 Tomasz Berdych, his first win over a top 10 player, before losing to Janko Kipsarevic. Dimitrov entered the challenger event Prague Open as the 5th-seeded player. In the first round, he defeated Jan Hayek and then lost to Aljaz Bedene in the second. At the French Open, Dimitrov was a set and a breakup against 17th seed Richard Gasquet before a 38-shot rally left Dimitrov cramping up and Gasquet vomiting, and caused Dimitrov to lose momentum, the set, and eventually the match. Dimitrov at the 2012 U.S. Open. Dimitrov's next tournament was the Birmingham Championships. He beat Bobby Reynolds, Gilles Muller, and Nicolas Mahut, and then reached his first ATP semifinal by beating the no-9 seed Kevin Anderson by coming back from a set down. Dimitrov became the first-ever Bulgarian male tennis player to reach an ATP semifinal. In his first ATP semifinal, Dimitrov lost to 10th-seeded David Nalbandian in straight sets. This tournament helped him become number 65 in the rankings. At the 2012 Wimbledon Championships, Dimitrov faced the number 32 seed Kevin Anderson in the first round. Dimitrov won in a very close 4 sets. In the second round, he faced the Cypriot Marcos Bagdatis, where Dimitrov retired due to an injury. His next tournament was Swedish Open. Seeded 6th, he eliminated Rogerio Dutra da Silva, Frederico Gil, and 3rd seed Albert Ramos, all in straight sets to reach a second ATP semifinal in his career. In the semifinal, he lost to the top seed and eventual champion David Ferrer in straight sets. Dimitrov then competed in the Swiss Open Gstaad. He defeated 6th seed Julian Benneteau, Dustin Brown, and Lukasz Kubat. In his 3rd career semifinal, he lost again, this time to Thomas Bellucci in 2 tough tiebreaks. On the grass of Wimbledon, Dimitrov represented his country for the first time in the Olympics. In the first round, he defeated Pole Lukasz Kubat again in 2 tight sets, 2 weeks after he had beaten him in the Swiss Open quarterfinal. He fell in the second round to the 12th seed Gilles Simon, his 4th loss against Simon, whom he has never beaten. On hard courts, Dimitrov has failed to qualify for Rogers Cup and Western and Southern Open. In both Masters tournaments, he lost in the first round of the qualifying round to Marco Ciutinelli and Rajiv Ram, respectively. Dimitrov suffered a first loss at the final slam of the year, the U.S. Open, to Benoit Paire in 4 sets. He ended his drought at the Thailand Open, reaching the second round before losing to Richard Gasquet in 3 tight sets. He then qualified for the Japan Open, but fell to Juan Monaco in straight sets. At the Masters event of Shanghai, he defeated Pablo Andujar before losing to world number 2 Novak Djokovic. At the Swiss Indoors Basel, Dimitrov reached the quarterfinals, defeating Viktor Troicki in straight sets and Julian Benneteau in 3 tiebreak sets, before losing to Paul-Henri Mathieu in 2 tiebreak sets. His next tournament was the Paris Masters, after receiving an entry from the qualifying draw. He beat Jürgen Meltzer before his 2012 campaign ended at the hands of Juan Monaco. Dimitrov ended 2012 ranked world number 48 in singles. 2013, first ATP title. Dimitrov began his 2013 season by competing at the Brisbane International.
He defeated Brian Baker, world number 13 Milos Raonic, Jürgen Meltzer, and Marcos Baghdatis to reach his first ATP singles final, thus becoming the first Bulgarian player to reach an ATP final. He lost to world number 3 and defending champion Andy Murray in straight sets, despite being a breakup in both sets.
Dimitrov paired Kei Nishikori in the doubles and reached the semifinals, but withdrew due to Nishikori's injury. This performance also meant that Dimitrov surpassed $1 million earned in prize money, a feat which no other male Bulgarian tennis player has accomplished.
In his next event, the Sydney International, Dimitrov suffered a first-round straight-set loss to Italian Fabio Fognini. At the Australian Open, Dimitrov suffered a first-round straight-set defeat by Julien Benneteau. He also competed in the men's doubles event with Marcos Baghdatis. The pair defeated fourth seeds Max Mirny and Horia Tecau in the second round before losing to Juan Sebastian Cabal and Robert Farah Maksud in the third round in 2 close tiebreak sets. Despite losing in the first round, Dimitrov became the first male Bulgarian player to rank inside the top 40 after the event. He then competed for Bulgaria in the Davis Cup against Finland and won both his singles matches against Juho Pauku and Mika Kontanen, but lost his doubles in 5 sets with partner Dimitar Kuzmanov against Henri Kontanen of Finland and Harri Heliövaara. Finland ended up winning the tie 3-2. At the Zagreb indoors, Dimitrov lost in the first round to Ivo Karlovic in 2 tiebreaks. At the Rotterdam Open, Dimitrov beat Bernard Tomic and Nikolai Davydenko and Marcos Baghdatis in 3 sets. In the semifinals, Dimitrov lost against world number 7 and eventual champion Juan Martín del Potro in straight sets. At the Indian Wells Open, Dimitrov became the first Bulgarian male tennis player to be seeded in a Masters 1000 event. In singles, he beat Matthew Ebden in 2 sets, but lost to world number 1 Novak Djokovic in the third round. In doubles, he partnered with Fredrik Nielsen. They lost to Ivan Dodig and Marcelo Melo in the second round. At the Miami Open, Dimitrov beat Simone Bolelli, but lost to second seed Andy Murray in straight sets in the following round. In doubles with partner Fredrik Nielsen, they reached semifinals, losing in straight sets against the 8th seeds Mariusz Furstenberg and Marcin Makotsky. Dimitrov at the 2013 Monte Carlo Masters. Dimitrov's next tournament was the clay court Monte Carlo Masters, where he reached his first quarterfinal at this level, beating Xavier Malisse, 8th seed Janko Tipsarevic, and Florian Mayer, all in straight sets, but lost in 3 sets to 8-time defending champion and 3rd seed Rafael Nadal. This good run in Monte Carlo meant Dimitrov entered the top 30 in the ATP rankings for the first time at number 28. His next event was Barcelona Open. Seeded 14th, he received a bye but lost in the second round. Despite leading 5-2 in the first set, he lost in straight sets to in-form Tommy Robredo. At the Madrid Open, following a victory over fellow 21-year-old Javier Martí, Dimitrov recorded the biggest win of his career, defeating world number 1 Novak Djokovic in a 3-set match in just over 3 hours. The two had met twice before, with Djokovic taking both encounters. In the third round, despite winning the first set, he lost in 3 sets to 15th seed Stan Wawrinka.
Dimitrov's next event was at the Internazionale d'Italia. In what was his 4th victory over the Cypriot out of 5 matches, he beat Marcos Baghdatis in straight sets in the first round, with 1 break of serve deciding both sets.
In the second round, he lost in straight sets against 9th seed and world number 9 Richard Gasquet, his 4th loss against the Frenchman out of 4 matches. At the French Open, Dimitrov was seeded 26th, thus becoming the first-ever Bulgarian male tennis player to be seeded at a Grand Slam tournament. He beat Alejandro Falla in the first round, after the Colombian retired, trailing 1-0 and 1 game down in the second set, citing an elbow problem. Dimitrov eliminated wildcard world number 324 Lucas Pouille in straight sets in the second round, thus becoming the first-ever Bulgarian male tennis player to reach the third round of a Grand Slam.
He lost in straight sets against world number 1 Novak Djokovic in the third round. Dimitrov also played in the doubles with partner Fredrik Nielsen, losing in straight sets to 7th-seeded Alexander Peya and Bruno Suarez in the second round. Dimitrov at Wimbledon 2013. In the grass season, Dimitrov played the Birmingham Championships, where he was seeded 10th.
He faced Dudi Sela in the first round. He came back from a set down and won the third set in a tiebreak, but lost to four-time champion Leighton Hewitt in the second round in straight sets. He then played the Boodles Challenge, an exhibition event. He lost to Janko Tipsarevic and Novak Djokovic on a match tiebreak, but defeated Jerzy Janowicz in straight sets.
At the Wimbledon Championships, Dimitrov eliminated Simone Bolelli in straight sets and then lost in the second round to world number 55 Grigor Dimitrov 11-9 in the fifth set. At Swedish Open, Dimitrov reached semifinals for his second consecutive year.
He eliminated Elias Ymer and Filippo Volandri in 3 sets and upset world number 20 Juan Monaco in the quarterfinals in straight sets. In the semifinals, he lost to Fernando Verdasco in an epic 3-set battle. He then started his U.S. Open Series campaign at the Washington Open. Dimitrov received a bye and defeated Xavier Malisse and Sam Querrey in straight sets. In the quarterfinals, Dimitrov lost in 2 tiebreak sets to the German veteran Tommy Haas. At the Rogers Cup, he fell in the first round the Spaniard Marcel Granollers in straight sets, but rebounded at the Western and Southern Open, defeating world number 15 Nicolas Almagro and Brian Baker, before losing to Rafael Nadal in 3 sets in the third round.
The Bulgarian then suffered 3 consecutive first-round exits at the U.S. Open to Joao Sousa in 5 sets, the China Open to Roberto Bautista Agut in straight sets, and the Shanghai Masters to Kei Nishikori in straight sets as well.
At the Stockholm Open, Dimitrov won his first ATP title by defeating top seed David Ferrer in the final, coming back from a set down, becoming the first ever male Bulgarian player in the Open era to win such a title. This win also meant Dimitrov reached a career-best number 22 in the world.
He followed it up with a quarter-final showing at the Swiss Indoors, defeating Radek Stepanek and Alexander Dolgopolov in straight sets, before losing to childhood idol Roger Federer in 2 tight sets.
He played his final event of the year at the Paris Masters, where he beat Michael Lodra and Fabio Fognini, both in 3 sets, but then lost to Juan Martín del Potro in the third round, despite winning the first set. Dimitrov finished the year ranked 23rd in singles and 68th in doubles.
On 16 December 2013, Dimitrov received the second most votes for the Bulgarian Sportsperson of the Year award, earning 1,331 points, and finishing just behind wrestler Ivo Angelov. 2014. 3 titles on 3 surfaces, Wimbledon semi-final, top 10. Dimitrov started the 2014 season ranked 23rd. His first event was the Brisbane International, where he took part in the last event too, and reached his first final at that time. He was now seeded 5th. However, now he was unable to repeat that good performance, winning in the first round in 2 sets against Robin Haas in under 1 hour, but then losing against Marin Cilic in 2 sets, losing both sets to 5 games, with a break of his serve in the last game deciding both sets. He also competed in the doubles with partner Jeremy Chardy and won in the first round against Brits Fleming and Hutchins, winning the deciding champion tiebreak, but then lost in the second round against Federer and Mahut in a match which featured 3 tiebreaks, with a champion tiebreak again deciding the match.
Dimitrov then played at the exhibition tournament in Kooyong, Australia, an event which featured top players Richard Gasquet, Stan Wawrinka, and Tomasz Berdych. However, he failed to take a single victory, losing in straight sets to Kei Nishikori and Fernando Verdasco, and ultimately pulled out prior to the 7th-place playoff.
Seeded 22nd at the Australian Open, Dimitrov had his best run at a major event, defeating Bradley Klon, Liu Yensun, 11th seed Milos Raonic, and Roberto Bautista Agut in succession, leading him to his first ever major quarterfinal, where he lost to top seed and world number 1.
Won Rafael Nadal in 4 sets, after winning the first and also having 3 set points to win the third. As a result of this career-best run at a Grand Slam tournament, Dimitrov entered the world's top 20 for the first time at number 19, becoming the first ever Bulgarian male tennis player to do so. Next, in February, he played at the Rotterdam Indoor event, where he was seeded 8th.
Dimitrov beat world number 28 Dmitry Tursunov in the first round, 2-1 sets.
Dimitrov then lost to world number 24 Ernests Gulbis in straight sets.
Dimitrov with the trophy at the Acapulco event. Dimitrov played in the Acapulco hardcourt event, where he was seeded 4th. Dimitrov beat world number 71 Marinko Matasevich in the first round and Marcos Baghdatis in the second in straight sets.
In the quarterfinals, Dimitrov beat 7th seed and world number 18 Ernests Gulbis in 2-1 in a match lasting over 2.5 hours.
In the semifinals, Dimitrov beat 2nd seed and world number 7 Andy Murray for the first time in a match that lasted almost 3 hours, losing the first set, then overcoming the Brit in 2 tiebreaks, thus reaching his 3rd ATP final, where he defeated Kevin Anderson in 3 sets.
The victory was Dimitrov's first win at an ATP 500 level tournament, and with it he reached his highest ever ATP rank, number 16.
Following his win, Dimitrov played at the Indian Wells Masters, an ATP 1000 event, where he was seeded 15th and received a bye into the second round, where he beat Robin Haas in straight sets, but then lost in the third round in 2-1 to world number 22 Ernests Gulbis, who reached the quarterfinal.
Dimitrov then played in Miami, where he was seeded 15th and had a bye into the second round. He beat Albert Montañez 2-1 sets, losing the second set on a tiebreak in round 2.
In the third round, in what was his second loss against the Japanese out of 2 matches between them, he lost in a tight 2 sets to 20th seed Kei Nishikori, who went on to reach the semifinals.
After Miami, Dimitrov reached a new career-high ranking of number 15. In April, he played for the Bulgarian Davis Cup team in the Europe Group 2 playoffs between Greece and Bulgaria. In the opening match of the tie, he beat number 690 teenager Marcos Kalivilonis 3-0 sets, losing just 6 games. He then teamed up with number 344 Dimitar Kutrovsky, who previously brought a second win for Bulgaria, and they beat the Greek team of Alexandros Jakupovic and Marcos Kalivilonis 3-0 sets, thus bringing the tie to a crucial 3-0 lead, meaning Bulgaria keeps their Europe Group 2 position for 2015, and Greece gets relegated to Europe Group 3. Just before Monte Carlo, Dimitrov reached a new career-high ranking of number 14. At the Monte Carlo Masters clay court event, he was seeded 12th. Dimitrov beat in-form number 32 Marcel Granollers 2-1 sets in the first round. Then another Spaniard, qualifier Albert Ramos, ranked just outside the top 100, also 2-1 sets. However, in what was his 4th loss out of 5 matches between them, Dimitrov lost 2-0 sets to 6th seed David Ferrer in round 3. He then played in the Bucharest clay court event, where he was given a wild card and was the top seed and had a bye in the first round. In what was the first meeting between the two, in round 2, Dimitrov beat number 79 Jiří Veselý 2-0 sets. He beat Sergei Stakhovsky 2-0 sets in round 3, then beat 3rd seed number 24 Gael Monfils in the semifinals after leading in the first set when Monfils retired, thus reaching his 4th ATP final. In the final, Dimitrov defeated Lucas Rosol 2-0 sets, winning the first on a tiebreak, then winning the second set with the loss of just 1 game to win his 3rd ATP title and first one on clay. In May, he played in the Madrid Open clay court event, where he was seeded 12th. Dimitrov beat local wildcard Pablo Carreño Busta 2-0 sets in the first round. Then in the second round, another wildcard, number 164 Marius Kopel 2-1 sets, coming back from a set down, winning the deciding set on a tiebreak. However, in what was his first loss against the Czech out of 3 matches between them, in round 3 he lost 2-1 sets to 6th seed number 6 Thomas Berdych after winning the first set. Dimitrov then played at the Italian Open, where he was seeded 12th. He beat number 47 Edward Roger Vasselin 2-1 sets, number 52 Ivo Karlovic 2-0 sets, then 6th seed Tomas Berdych 2-1 for a third victory against the Czech out of 4 matches between them, then 15th seed Tommy Haas in the quarterfinals after the German retired while losing 1-0 in sets. In what was the 5th match between them, and the first match that Dimitrov was unable to win a set in, he lost 2-0 sets to first seed Rafael Nadal in the semifinals. This reaching of the Rome semifinal was Dimitrov's best ATP Masters performance. He also successfully played in the Rome doubles with partner Lucas Rosal, and they beat unseeded world number 4 Colombian pair Juan Sebastian Cabal and Robert Farah Maksud in the first round 2-0 sets, winning both sets on a tiebreak. In the second and third rounds, they beat second-seeded Austrian-Brazilian duo of Alexander Peya and Bruno Suarez, then unseeded Marin Cilic and Santiago Gonzalez, both 2-1 sets. They lost 2-0 sets to unseeded Robin Haas and Feliciano Lopez in the semifinals. This performance meant Dimitrov reached a new career-best singles ranking of 12th and also moved 58 places up the doubles rankings to number 84. He then played at French Open, where he was seeded 11th. In round 1, he lost 3-0 sets to big serving number 37 Ivo Karlovic, whom he recently beat in Rome. In June, Dimitrov played at the Queen's Grass Court event, where he was seeded 4th and had a bye into round 2. He beat local number 168 James Ward in round 2, then number 53 Edouard Roger Vasselin in the third round, both 2-0 sets. Dimitrov was due to play 8th seed Alexander Dolgopolov in the quarterfinals, but received a walkover when the Ukrainian retired before the match, citing a thigh injury. Dimitrov then faced first seed Stan Wawrinka in the semifinals and won in straight sets. Dimitrov claimed his first title on a grass court against Feliciano Lopez in 3 sets, being a set behind and saving a match point. It was the event's first time in which the final was decided with 3 tiebreakers, as well as being the longest ever Queen's final. Dimitrov also played in the Queen's doubles event with partner world number 3 Wawrinka, ranked outside the top 150 in the ATP doubles rankings, and in round 1 they beat local brother wildcard duo of Ken and Neil Skupski in straight sets, but then lost in a tight 2-setter to third-seeded Canadian-Serbian veteran duo of Daniel Nestor and Nenad Zimanjic in the second round. Next, Dimitrov played at the 2014 Wimbledon Championships, where he was seeded 11th. In rounds 1 and 2, he beat 2 qualifiers, number 150 Ryan Harrison and number 236 Luke Saville, both in 3 sets. In round 3, in what was his second victory against the Ukrainian out of 3 matches, he beat 21st seed Alexander Dolgopolov in a 5-set match, coming back from 2-1 sets down. Dimitrov followed that up with a straight sets victory over number 64 Leonardo Mayer in round 4. In the quarterfinals, in what was his second victory against the Brit out of 5 matches, he beat defending Wimbledon champion and third seed Andy Murray 3-0 sets. This win meant Dimitrov reached his first Grand Slam semifinal, becoming the first male Bulgarian player to reach that stage. He was beaten in 4 sets by first seed number 2 Novak Djokovic, who went on to win the tournament. This good performance also meant Dimitrov entered the top 10 ATP rankings for the first time, at number 9, becoming the first ever Bulgarian male tennis player to do so. In the end of July, Dimitrov was due to play at the Washington Open hardcourt event, where he was seeded 3rd, but had to withdraw due to flu and sinus problems. In August, he played at the Canadian Open Masters, where he was seeded number 7 and had a bye into the second round. In the second and third rounds, Dimitrov beat Donald Young and 17th seed Tommy Robredo, both 2-1 sets. Then, in the quarterfinals, in what was his 5th victory against the South African out of 6 matches between them, he beat number 21 Kevin Anderson 2-1 sets, coming back from a set down and winning the deciding set on a tiebreak. In the semifinals, he lost to 13th seed and eventual champion Joe Wilfried Tsonga. Next, Dimitrov played at the Cincinnati Masters. He was seeded 7th again and had a bye into the second round, where he lost to Jerzy Janowicz. At the U.S. Open, Dimitrov was seeded 7th. After Dimitrov defeated Ryan Harrison in the first round, Dudi Sela in the second, and David Goffin in the third, he lost to 20th seed Gael Monfils in the round of 16 in 3 close sets, which dropped his tennis ranking to number 10 after the tournament. Along with Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal, Dimitrov competed in the annual September China Open tournament in Beijing. After defeating Fernando Verdasco and Pablo Andujar, Dimitrov lost to world number 1 Djokovic in the quarterfinals. Dimitrov's next tournament was the Shanghai Masters, where he was seeded 10th. After defeating Denis Istomin in the first round, Dimitrov lost to the unseeded Julian Benneteau in the second round. Dimitrov began the defense of his ATP maiden title in Stockholm, winning his second and third round matches with Teimuraz Gabashvili and Jack Sock. He beat Bernard Tomic in the semifinals, reaching his sixth career ATP World Tour singles final. Dimitrov lost the final to Thomas Berdych in 3 sets. In Basel, Dimitrov beat teenager Alexander Zverev and Vasek Pospisil in first and second rounds, before losing to top-seeded and eventual champion Roger Federer at the quarterfinals for a second year in a row. At the Paris Masters, Dimitrov beat Pablo Cuevas in the second round, but then lost to Andy Murray in the third. This was his last tournament for the year. Dimitrov had an opportunity to qualify for the 2014 ATP World Tour Finals, but he finished 11th. On the 22nd of December 2014, Dimitrov was chosen as the Bulgarian Sportsperson of the Year, earning 1190 points, becoming the first tennis player to win the award. 2015, Australian Open 4th round, Dimitrov started the year ranked number 11. In the beginning of January, he began his season at the Brisbane Outdoor Hardcourt event, where he was seeded 4th and received a bye into the second round. There, Dimitrov beat Jeremy Chardy, coming back from a set down and winning the deciding set on a tiebreak. In the quarterfinals, he beat Martin Klizan in straight sets, but then lost to world number 2 and eventual champion Roger Federer at the semifinals in less than an hour. Dimitrov also played in the doubles event, paired with the Australian teenager Thanasi Kokkinakis, with whom he reached the semifinals.
At the Australian Open, Dimitrov was seeded 10th. In the first round, he overcame Dustin Brown in just 69 minutes. Then, in the second round, he beat Luka Shlachko in 4 sets and Marcos Bagdatis in 5 sets in the third round. Dimitrov lost to 6th seed and eventual runner-up Andy Murray in the 4th round in 4 sets. In February, Dimitrov participated in the Rotterdam Open indoor hardcourt event, where he was seeded 5th. In the first round, he beat the qualifier Paul-Henri Wattieu 2-1 sets, saving 2 match points in the second set, but then lost in straight sets to world number 37 Gilles Muller in the second round.
Dimitrov played in Acapulco next, where he was the defending champion and seeded 3rd. He lost in the second round to Ryan Harrison. On 10 March 2015, Dimitrov played at an annual exhibition tournament in Madison Square Garden against Federer, defeating the Swiss star for the first time. In March, Dimitrov played at the Indian Wells Masters, where he was seeded 11th and had a bye into the second round, where he beat in 3 sets the Australian teenager and world number 37 Nick Kyrgios. Dimitrov lost to world number 19 Tommy Robredo in the third round.
Dimitrov also played at the doubles event, paired with Marty Fish, but they lost in the first round to Spaniards David Ferrer and Fernando Verdasco. Dimitrov was seeded 9th at the Miami Masters and had a bye into the second round, where he beat Vasek Pospisil, but then lost to the 22nd seed John Isner in the third round. Dimitrov began his clay season at the Monte Carlo Masters. He was seeded 9th and beat Verdasco in the first round, and then defeated in straight sets Fabio Fognini in the second round. In the third round, Dimitrov crushed in less than an hour the 7th seed and defending champion Stan Wawrinka, and then lost in straight sets to Gael Monfils in the quarterfinals. Dimitrov also played in the doubles, paired with Max Mirny. They reached the second round, where they lost to the Bryan brothers. Dimitrov decided not to defend his title in Bucharest, and instead he participated in the first edition of the Istanbul event. He was seeded 2nd and had a bye into the second round, where he defeated Fondrei Golubev. In the quarterfinals, Dimitrov beat Ivan Dodig, but then lost to Pablo Cuevas in the semifinals. Next, Dimitrov played at the Madrid Masters, where he was seeded 10th. His opponent in the first round, Donald Young, retired, after Dimitrov was leading by a set and by 3-0 games in the second set. Then, Dimitrov beat Fabio Fognini, coming back from a set down, and overcame 8th seed Stan Wawrinka in 3 sets in the third round. At the quarterfinals, Dimitrov lost in straight sets to 3rd seed and 2-time defending champion Rafael Nadal, which was his 6th defeat out of 6 matches between them.
Dimitrov also played in the doubles and reached the second round. Dimitrov was unable to defend his semi-final at the Rome Masters in May. He was seeded 10th and beat in straight sets Jerzy Janowicz in the first round, but then lost in 3 sets to Fabio Fognini in what was the third match between them within a month. Next, Dimitrov lost in straight sets to Jack Sock at the French Open in the first round, despite being seeded 10th. Dimitrov exited the tournament early for a second year in a row. In June, Dimitrov failed to defend his title at the Queen's Club grass court event, losing in the second round to Gilles Muller. Next, being seeded 11th, he played at the Wimbledon Championships and, in the first 2 rounds, eliminated Federico Delbonis and Steve Johnson. Dimitrov lost in straight sets to Richard Gasquet in the third round, in what was his 5th defeat out of 5 matches against the Frenchman. Following that defeat, Dimitrov decided to part ways with coach Roger Rashid. In July, Dimitrov participated in the 2015 Davis Cup against Luxembourg, winning all his matches. In August, he started his U.S. Open Series campaign in Washington, reaching the third round. Then he played at the Rogers Cup, losing to Jack Sock in the second round. At the Cincinnati Masters, Dimitrov was eliminated in the third round by the world number 2, Andy Murray, having missed a match point in the third set. Dimitrov's weak performance continued at the U.S. Open, where he lost in 5 sets to Mikhail Kukushkin in the second round. In September, he hired Franco Davin as his coach. Dimitrov reached the quarterfinals in Kuala Lumpur and then, in the beginning of October, had another first-round exit in Tokyo. After these tournaments, Dimitrov dropped out of top 20. After an unsuccessful Asia swing, Dimitrov traveled to Sweden to participate in the Stockholm Open and reached the quarterfinals, where he was defeated by Tomas Berdych in straight sets. Following that tournament, he traveled to Basel for the Swiss indoors, where he lost to Rafael Nadal in 3 sets in the round of 16. His last tournament for the season was Paris, where Dimitrov managed to eliminate Marin Cilic before losing to Ferrer. He did not qualify for the ATP World Tour Finals. 2016. Second U.S. Open 4th round, ranked world number 28, Dimitrov began the season in Brisbane, where he reached the quarterfinals, losing to Federer. Paired with Kei Nishikori, Dimitrov also reached the semifinals in the doubles, but withdrew due to shoulder soreness. The Bulgarian reached his 7th career final in Sydney, losing to the defending champion Viktor Troicki in 3 sets and a tiebreak in the third set. Next, Dimitrov recorded another defeat to Federer, his 5th overall between the two, in the third round of the Australian Open.
In February, Dimitrov decided to skip the first edition of Sofia Open in his homeland and participated in the Delray Beach event, where he lost to the unseeded Rajiv Ram in the semifinals. Next, Dimitrov lost to the in-form and eventual champion Dominic Thiem at the quarterfinals in Acapulco.
In March, seeded 23rd, Dimitrov had a bye into the second round of Indian Wells, but was upset by the German teenager Alexander Zverev. Dimitrov also had a bye into the second round of the Miami Open. In the third round, he overcame the world number 2 Andy Murray, coming back from a set down, but then lost to Gael Monfils. In April, Dimitrov began his clay court season.
He reached the second round of the Monte Carlo Masters, losing to the 15th seed Gilles Simon in straight sets. Seeded second, Dimitrov reached his 8th career final in the Istanbul event, beating third seed Ivo Karlovic at the semifinals in 2 tiebreaks. In the final, against the unseeded Diego Schwartzman, Dimitrov was serving for the match in the second set, but started cramping and then had a complete meltdown. After smashing 2 rackets and being warned and penalized, Dimitrov smashed a third racket in the third set, which resulted in a match-ending penalty.
At the Madrid Masters, Dimitrov was unable to defend his quarterfinal from the previous year, suffering a first-round exit in straight sets to Pablo Carreño, not having lost even a set to the Spaniard prior to that match. In the following week, Dimitrov's position in the ATP ranking deteriorated further to number 35, a 3-year low.
The Bulgarian was then beaten again by Alexander Zverev in first round of the Rome Masters. This was followed by another first-round loss at the French Open to Viktor Troicki, this time in 5 sets.
In June, Dimitrov's downfall continued as he played on grass courts in Stuttgart and in London, losing once again in the first rounds to the wild-card Juan Martín del Potro in straight sets and to the returning from injury Jenko Tipsarevic, respectively. Being unseeded at a major for the first time since 2013, Dimitrov ended his losing streak at the 2016 Wimbledon, first beating qualifier Bjorn Fratangelo and then 16th seed Gilles Simon, before losing to Steve Johnson. Soon after that, Dimitrov revealed that prior to Wimbledon he had split with his coach Franco Davin. The Bulgarian hired Daniel Valverdu as coach. In July, Dimitrov was seeded 12th in Washington Open and had a bye into the second round, but had another disappointment as he lost in straight sets to number 82 Daniel Evans. At Rogers Cup, Dimitrov survived another early elimination against Yuichi Sugita in the first round, coming back from a set down and facing 2-5 in the second set tiebreak. That was followed by an easy win against wildcard Denis Shapovalov, and then Dimitrov beat Ivo Karlovic in straight sets in the third round. The Bulgarian lost in 3 sets to third seed Nishikori in the quarterfinals. Paired with Wawrinka, he beat Lucas Pouillet and Dominic Thiem in the doubles, before losing to Henry Kontanen and John Peers. Dimitrov participated in the 2016 Summer Olympics in the first half of August, but lost in the first round to 9th seed Marin Cilic. The Bulgarian then had a good run in Cincinnati, reaching his third career Masters semifinal. He subsequently beat in straight sets Gilles Simon in the first round, and then came back from a set 2 down to eliminate 16th seed Feliciano Lopez. In the third round, Dimitrov won against second seed Wawrinka and then beat Steve Johnson in the quarterfinals, both in straight sets. In the semifinal, he was stopped again by the eventual champion Marin Cilic after allowing rebreaks twice in the third set. With his performance, the Bulgarian secured the second spot in the 2016 U.S. Open Series standings. In the following week, Dimitrov returned in top 30 of ATP ranking, jumping 10 positions to number 24 spot. Seeded 22nd, Dimitrov played in the 2016 U.S. Open and reached the fourth round for a second time in his career after beating en route Inigo Cervantes, Jeremy Chardy, and João Sousa before losing in straight sets to second seed Andy Murray, who allowed Dimitrov only 5 games in total. Dimitrov moved to Asia to play in the inaugural Chengdu Open. He was seeded third and reached the semifinals, where he lost to 5th seed Albert Ramos Vignoles. The Bulgarian then went to the final of the Beijing event, beating Steve Johnson, 6th seed Lucas Pouillet, and gaining first victory over Rafael Nadal, who was ranked number 4 at the moment. At the semifinals, the third seed, Milos Raonic, withdrew prior to the match with Dimitrov due to ankle injury. Dimitrov lost the final to number 2, Andy Murray, in 2 tight sets. The Bulgarian then participated in the Shanghai Masters, where in the first round he overcame in straight sets 14th seed Richard Gasquet, to whom Dimitrov had a negative record of 0-5 losses, but in the second lost to qualifier Vasek Pospisil, who had never beaten Dimitrov. The Bulgarian returned to Europe and reached the semi-finals in Stockholm, where he was stopped by the eventual champion Juan Martín del Potro. Dimitrov then played in Basel, but exited the event with a first-round loss against Gilles Muller. In his last tournament for the season, the Paris Masters, Dimitrov lost in 3 sets to number 1 Novak Djokovic in the third round. 2017, major semifinal, Masters and ATP Finals titles, world number 3 ranked, world number 17, Dimitrov had a flying start to the season in Brisbane, reaching the final by defeating world number 8 Dominic Thiem in the quarterfinals and then number 3 and defending champion Milos Raonic in the semifinals. In the final, he overcame world number 5 Kei Nishikori in 3 sets, winning his first ATP title in nearly 3 years, his last having been at Queen's Club in 2014. Dimitrov next moved on to play in the 2017 Australian Open, where he extended his winning streak further, reaching the semifinals. Dimitrov beat 18th seed Richard Gasquet in the third round and 11th seed David Goffin in the quarterfinals, before being eliminated by Rafael Nadal in a 5-set thriller, which lasted almost 5 hours, with Dimitrov failing to convert double break points in the 5th set when the score was 4-3 for Dimitrov. The match with Nadal was later cited among the top 3 of best Grand Slam matches in 2017. In February, Dimitrov competed in the Sofia Open, where he was seeded third. The Bulgarian maintained his excellent start to the season, winning his second title of the year on home soil, defeating second seed David Goffin in straight sets in the final. However, the Belgian managed to grab his first victory over Dimitrov, eliminating him in 3 sets in the quarterfinals of the Rotterdam Open. In March, Dimitrov played in the Indian Wells Masters, losing in 3 sets to Jack Sock in the third round, after missing 4 match points. The Bulgarian then participated in the Miami Open, but was upset by unseeded Guido Pella in the second round. Dimitrov began his clay court season with a loss to Tommy Robredo in the second round of the Grand Prix Hassan II tournament, for which he received a wild card and was the top seed. This was followed by another upset at the Monte Carlo Masters, where Dimitrov was seeded 8th and had a bye into the second round, but lost to qualifier Jan-Lennard Struff. The Bulgarian ended his losing streak in the Madrid Masters, reaching the third round, where he was eliminated by Dominic Thiem in 3 tight sets after missing 5 match points in the third set tiebreak. Next, Dimitrov had a first-round exit in the Rome Masters, being defeated by Juan Martín del Potro in 3 sets. This was the 5th loss to the Argentine in 5 meetings. Dimitrov then went to the third round of the French Open, where he lost to Pablo Carreño Busta.
Dimitrov started on grass court in Stuttgart. He was seeded second, but lost in his first match. The Bulgarian then had a good run at the Queen's Club event, where he reached the semi-finals. Dimitrov lost in 3 sets to in-form eventual champion Feliciano Lopez. Without dropping a set, the Bulgarian reached the 4th round at Wimbledon, but then lost in straight sets to eventual champion Roger Federer in what was his 6th defeat in 6 official matches with the Swiss. Dimitrov returned to the top 10 for the first time since February 2015 at the conclusion of the tournament. Dimitrov at the 2017 Washington Open. Dimitrov returned to hard courts in August. After reaching third rounds at the Washington Open and the Rogers Cup in Montreal, the Bulgarian won his first Masters 1000 title in Cincinnati, defeating Nick Kyrgios in the final in straight sets, winning the tournament without losing a set.
Dimitrov then reached the second round of the U.S. Open, where he lost to teenager Andrei Rublev. In the beginning of October, Dimitrov reached the semi-finals in Beijing after wins over Juan Martín del Potro and Roberto Bautista Agut, and then the quarterfinals of the Shanghai Masters.
In both events, the Bulgarian was eliminated by world number 1 Rafael Nadal in 3 setters. Dimitrov then advanced to the final of the Stockholm Open with wins over Jerry Janowicz, Misha Zverev, and Fabio Fognini, but lost to U.S. Open semifinalist Del Potro in straight sets. This was Dimitrov's 3rd final in Stockholm. In the following week, Dimitrov was confirmed to participate for the first time at the ATP Finals, thus becoming the first Bulgarian to qualify for the season-ending championships.
Afterwards, he decided to skip the Vienna Open, despite being given a wild card due to fatigue, and to prepare for the Paris Masters the following week, where Dimitrov grabbed 3rd victory in a row over Richard Gasquet before losing in the 3rd round to big-serving John Isner in 3 sets.
On the following week, prior to the ATP Finals, Dimitrov achieved a new career high, climbing to world number 6 position.
Dimitrov was drawn in the Pete Sampras group of the 2017 ATP Finals, together with Rafael Nadal, Dominic Thiem, and David Goffin. Playing with Thiem in his debut match, Dimitrov clinched a maiden victory in the ATP Finals in a tight 3-setter. The Bulgarian then routed Goffin, allowing only 2 games to his opponent. With this win, Dimitrov won the first place in the group and secured his place at the semifinals. Dimitrov stayed perfect in the group after another convincing victory, this time against alternate Pablo Carreño Busta. The Bulgarian came back from a set down to ultimately eliminate in-form Jack Sock in the semifinals. Dimitrov won the biggest title of his career by defeating, once again, David Goffin in 3 tight sets in the final. He finished the tournament as an undefeated champion, receiving a prize of $2,549,000 and 1,500 ranking points. The latter helped him finish 2017 at a career-high world number 3, only behind Nadal and Federer. Dimitrov ended his 2017 season with these significant milestones. 1. First Masters 1000 title. 2. First ATP Finals crown. 3. 5 Tour Finals. 4. 4 Tour titles. 5. 8 top 10 match wins, had 13 total prior to 2017. 6. 250 career match wins. 257 match wins. 7. Cracked $10 million in career earnings, $13,103,976. 8. Cracked $5. 0,000,000 in a single season, $5,628,512. 9. Second Grand Slam semifinal. 10. First Grand Slam semifinal on hard courts. 2018. Australian Open quarterfinal, 15th final, Laver Cup win Dimitrov. At the 2018 Australian Open, Dimitrov started his 2018 campaign in Brisbane, where he was the defending champion and top seed. He started from the second round with hard 3-set win against the home favorite and wildcard John Millman, then overcame with another 3-setter the British number 2 Kyle Edmund. Dimitrov was eliminated in the semifinals by the third seed and eventual champion Nick Kyrgios. The Bulgarian played in the doubles as well. Paired with Ryan Harrison, he reached the semifinals before withdrawing. Having started his campaign at Australian Open with a couple of wins against qualifiers Denis Novak and Mackenzie McDonald, Dimitrov was drawn against Andrei Rublev, who had knocked him out in the second round of US Open several months before, and took revenge, eliminating the 30th-seeded Russian. Dimitrov then edged in-form Nick Kyrgios in tight 4 sets to qualify for his third Australian Open quarterfinal, where he lost to Kyle Edmund in 4 sets. In the following week, Dimitrov stated that he had played the last matches with a shoulder injury. Failing to recover, the Bulgarian withdrew from the Sofia Open, where he was defending champion. In February, Dimitrov reached the final of the Rotterdam Open without dropping a set, defeating Yuichi Sugita, Filip Krajinovic, Andrei Rublev, and David Goffin en route, but eventually lost to Roger Federer, who would regain world number 1 ranking after the tournament. Next, Dimitrov played in Dubai, where he was top seed, but was upset in the first round by Malik Jaziri. In March, Dimitrov was third seed at both the Indian Wells and Miami Masters, but faced early eliminations by Fernando Verdasco in the second round and by Jeremy Chardy in the third round, respectively. Dimitrov rebounded on the next tournament, the Monte Carlo Masters, advancing to the semi-finals of the clay event after beating number 10 David Goffin in the quarterfinals. Dimitrov ultimately lost to world number 1 Rafael Nadal. That was followed by a quarterfinal in Barcelona where Dimitrov lost to Pablo Carreño Busta. After the match-ending handshake, Dimitrov accused Carreño Busta of stopping the point in the second-set tiebreak, which led to an unforced error by the Bulgarian. Carreño Busta denied the accusations. In May, Dimitrov lost in the second rounds of the Madrid and Rome Masters to Milos Raonic and Kei Nishikori, respectively. Dimitrov then lost in straight sets to Fernando Verdasco in the third round of the French Open. Dimitrov had his worst grass court season since 2010, having recorded early losses to Novak Djokovic at the Queen's Club tournament and to Stan Wawrinka at the Wimbledon Championships. The second of the defeats came in the first round of the Grand Slam event. Dimitrov next played in August at the Toronto Masters, where he reached the quarterfinals, losing to Kevin Anderson. Dimitrov then failed to defend his Masters title in Cincinnati after he was beaten in the third round by the eventual champion Novak Djokovic in a tight 3-setter. As a result, Dimitrov's ranking dropped to world number 8. That was followed by first-round elimination at the 2018 US Open, with Dimitrov losing to Stan Wawrinka in straights. Dimitrov contributed to Team Europe for winning the second edition of the Laver Cup. However, his struggles with form continued after early exits at the China Open and in Vienna, losing to unseeded Dusan Lajovic and Mikhail Kukushkin, respectively. Dimitrov's season ended after the Paris Masters, where he lost to 5th seed Marin Cilic in the third round. Dimitrov didn't qualify for the ATP Finals, where he was the defending champion. Former world number 1 Andre Agassi joined Dimitrov's team prior to the Paris Masters, 2019. Shoulder injury, US Open semifinal. Dimitrov at the 2019 Rolex Paris Masters, Dimitrov started his campaign in Brisbane, where he defeated Yoshihito Nishioka and John Millman in straight sets, before losing to eventual champion Kei Nishikori in the quarterfinals. In January, Dimitrov reached the last 16 of the 2019 Australian Open, but was knocked out by Francis Tiafoe in 4 sets. Having suffered from a shoulder injury, Dimitrov returned to play in the Miami Masters, reaching the 3rd round. Dimitrov then started his clay court campaign at the Monte Carlo Masters, where he lost to Rafael Nadal in the 3rd round. Dimitrov then went to the 3rd round of Barcelona Open. His ranking deteriorated to number 49, the lowest since 2012. At the French Open, Dimitrov upset Marin Cilic in the 2nd round, but was subsequently eliminated by Stan Wawrinka in straight sets. Dimitrov had a disappointing Wimbledon, losing to Corentin Moutet in 5 sets in the 1st round, despite being up 2 sets. Dimitrov's hardcourt season started off poorly. He lost in the 1st round of the Atlanta Open to world number 405 Kevin King, who had never won a main draw match on the ATP Tour. Dimitrov then lost to Stan Wawrinka in the 1st rounds of both the Rogers Cup and the Western and Southern Open. Following this, Dimitrov had lost 7 of his past 8 matches, and his ranking had slipped to number 78, his lowest ranking in over 7 years. At the U.S. Open, Dimitrov was unseeded. He defeated Andreas Seppi in the 1st round before receiving a walkover over 12th seed Borna Coric. He then defeated lucky loser Kamil Maishrak and Alex de Minaur in straight sets to reach the quarterfinals. There, he faced 3rd seed Roger Federer. In a lengthy 5-set match, Dimitrov upset Federer to reach his first Grand Slam semifinal since the 2017 Australian Open. This was also his first career win against Federer, having been defeated on 7 previous occasions. He then lost to Daniil Medvedev in the semifinals. As a result of this run, Dimitrov rose 53 ranking places in a single tournament, appearing at world number 25 the next week. Dimitrov failed to proceed beyond the 2nd round at Chengdu, Beijing, Stockholm, and Vienna. At the Paris Masters, he defeated Ugo Humbert and 12th seed David Goffin to reach the 3rd round, where he defeated the 5th seed Dominic Thiem. In the quarterfinals, he defeated Christian Garin before losing to Djokovic in straight sets in the semifinals. 2020, inaugural ATP Cup captain, French Open 4th round. In January, Dimitrov participated and led as captain the Bulgarian team in the inaugural 2020 ATP Cup, where the top 24 countries qualified based on the singles ATP ranking of their number 1 country player. The Bulgarian team was number 19 based on Dimitrov's ranking, and part of Group C, where Dimitrov won both his single matches against the top players of Great Britain, Dan Evans, and Moldova, Radu Albat. He pulled a victory in doubles, where as the underdogs, he and teammate Alexander Lazarov stunned the top British experienced pair of Jamie Murray/Joe Salisbury in a close 3-sets match. In October, Dimitrov reached the 4th round of the French Open for the first time, defeating Roberto Carballes Baena, where he lost to Stefanos Tsitsipas in straight sets. He finished the year in the top 20 for the 5th year in a row, ranked world number 19. 2021, Australian Open quarterfinal, Indian Wells semifinal. In February, Dimitrov, seeded 18th, reached his 4th quarterfinal at the Australian Open, defeating former Grand Slam champion Marin Cilic in the 1st round, Alex Bolt, 15th seed Pablo Carreño Busta by retirement, and 3rd seed and the previous year's runner-up Dominic Thiem in the 4th round, before losing to qualifier Aslan Karatsev after suffering from back spasms. Dimitrov retired in the 1st round of the French Open against Marcos Giron for the same reasons as a result of his back problems, after failing to convert 3 match points in the 3rd set. Seeded 18th at the 2021 Wimbledon Championships, he lost to Alexander Bublik in the 2nd round in 3 straight sets with 2 tiebreaks after Bublik hit 34 aces against Dimitrov. He took his revenge by defeating Bublik at the 2021 Western and Southern Open Masters in Cincinnati to reach the round of 16. He lost to Daniil Medvedev in straight sets. At the U.S. Open, he retired with a foot injury after losing the first 2 sets to Alexei Popyrin in the second round. He dropped out of the top 25 since he could not defend his points from the 2019 U.S. Open semifinal, to number 29 on the 13th of September 2021. In late September, Dimitrov recorded his first win over Martin Fucsovics in 3 ATP head-to-head meetings at the 2021 San Diego Open to reach the second round. He then won in the second round, defeating ATP Tour debutant and lucky loser August Holmgren, tennis, after Felix Auger-Aliassime withdrawal in straight sets 6-1, 6-1 in a 56 minutes match to reach his 5th quarterfinal of the season. He reached his first semifinal of the year, defeating Aslan Karatsev in 3 sets and taking his revenge for his earlier-in-the-year loss at the AO. In the semifinals, he lost to eventual champion Casper Ruud. At Indian Wells, Dimitrov reached the round of 16 for the first time in his career, defeating en route qualifier Daniel Altmaier and then world number 20 and 16th seed Riley Opelka in straight sets with no breaks, taking his revenge for his earlier-in-the-year loss to the American at the Canadian Open. In the 4th round, Dimitrov defeated world number 2 and top seed Daniil Medvedev 4-6, 6-4, 6-3 to reach the quarterfinals. He came back from a set and a double breakdown at 4-6, 1-4 to eliminate the reigning U.S. Open champion and earn his first win over a top 2 opponent since 2016. In the quarterfinals, he defeated 8 seed Hubert Hurkacz, rallying again from a set down to reach the semifinals for the first time in his career at this Masters. He then lost to Cameron Norrie in the semifinals. At the Paris Masters, he defeated wildcard Richard Gasquet and 2018 champion Karen Khachanowyan in the second round, with the last set being 6-0. He lost to 4th seed Alexander Zverev in the round of 16. 2022, 350th career win, Masters semifinal, 30th top 10 win.
Dimitrov at the 2022 Monte Carlo Masters. The season for Dimitrov began at the Melbourne Somerset Tournament, where he reached the semifinals before losing to qualifier Maxime Cressy. Next, he participated in the Australian Open, but he lost in the second round to Benoit Paire. At the 2022 Delray Beach Open, following his second-round win over Mitchell Kruger, Dimitrov became only the second man born in the 90s or later to reach 350 career wins, after Milos Raonic. He was the 130th man in the Open era and the 22nd active player to do it. In March, Dimitrov reached the quarterfinals of the Indian Wells Masters before losing to 7th seed Andrei Rublev in straight sets. At the Monte Carlo Masters, he reached the semifinals with an upset against 4th seed Casper Ruud and again 11th seed Hubert Hurkacz. At the French Open, he lost in the third round to 15th seed Diego Schwartzman in straight sets, whom Dimitrov defeated also in straight sets at the Madrid Open. At Wimbledon, he retired in the first round against Steve Johnson. At the Canadian Open, he reached the second round in singles and in doubles with Andrei Rublev, defeating Canadian wildcard debutant Alexis Galarneau and Wimbledon doubles champions Ebden/Purcell, respectively. The pair also reached the second round of the 2022 Western and Southern Open, defeating Dan Evans and John Peers. Following 2 straight first-round losses at the 2022 Sofia Open and the 2022 Stockholm Open, he won his opening match at the 2022 Erste Bank Open in Vienna against Thiago Monteiro. Next, he defeated world number 8 and 3rd seed Andrei Rublev, his 30th top 10 win, to reach the quarterfinals, and Marcos Giron to reach his 3rd semifinal of the season. He lost to world number 4 and top seed eventual champion Daniil Medvedev in straight sets. At the 2022 Rolex Paris Masters, he reached the third round, defeating Botique van de Zandschulp, lucky loser Fabio Fognini, before losing to world number 1 Carlos Alcaraz to end his season. He finished the year in the top 30 for the 10th year in a row, ranked world number 28 on the 21st of November 2022. Based on this ranking, being the Bulgarian male player number 1, he was confirmed 2 days later as a participant at the 2023 United Cup as part of the Bulgarian team.
2023 Inaugural United Cup, 400th win and return to the top 15, Dimitrov reached the third round at the 2023 Australian Open, defeating Aslan Karatsev and Laslo Djere before losing in straight sets to eventual champion Novak Djokovic, who went on to win his 10th Australian Open and 22nd Grand Slam. At the Rotterdam Open, he defeated again Karatsev in 59 minutes to reach the second round. Next, he defeated world number 10 and 5th seed Hubert Hurkacz in straight sets to reach the quarterfinals. He reached his 43rd career semifinal, defeating Alex de Minaur in 3 sets, and first since 2018 at this tournament. As a result, he returned to the top 25 in the rankings. He lost to world number 11 and 6th seed Daniil Medvedev in straight sets. At the 2023 BNP Paribas Open, he lost in the second round, having received a bye, to Jason Kubler after retirement with a right knee injury in the third set. In Miami, he won his second-round match against qualifier Jan-Lennard Struff. In Monte Carlo, he won in the first round over Ben Shelton before losing to Jiří Lehecka. As a result, he dropped outside of the top 30 on the 17th of April 2023 in the rankings, being unable to defend his semi-final points from the previous year. In Madrid, he defeated Gregoire Barret in the second round before losing to top seed Carlos Alcaraz. In Rome, he defeated Stan Wawrinka in the second round before also losing to the top seed, world number 1 Novak Djokovic. In Geneva, he won his first 2 rounds matches against Roberto Carballes Baena and Christopher O'Connell to reach the semifinals. He reached his first final since 2018, defeating second seed and top 10 player Taylor Fritz, before losing in the final to Nicolas Jarry. Dimitrov reached the 4th round at Roland Garros for the second time at this major, defeating qualifier Timofey Skotov, Emil Rusuvori, and Daniel Altmaier without losing a set. He lost to 22nd seed Alexander Zverev in straight sets. He qualified for the main draw at the 2023 Queen's Club Championships and reached the quarterfinals also without dropping a set, defeating 8th seed Francisco Cerundolo. He lost to top seed and world number 2 Carlos Alcaraz in straight sets. His good form continued at the 2023 Wimbledon Championships, reaching the 4th round without losing a set, defeating top 10 player Frances Tiafoe before losing to world number 6 Holger Rune. He returned to the top 20 on the 24th of July 2023. In the beginning of the North American Summer Swing, seeded 5th, he reached the semifinals at the Washington Open after a walkover from Ugo Humbert, before losing to eventual champion Dan Evans. At the U.S. Open, he reached the second round, defeating Alex Molcan after coming from a 2-sets-to-love down deficit for the first time in his career, saving 3 match balls in 5 sets with 3 tiebreaks in a match lasting close to 4 hours and 40 minutes, the longest of the day. Next, he reached the third round, defeating Andy Murray, before losing to Alexander Zverev, his 3rd straight loss to the German in the season. He recorded his 400th career win at the 2023 Chengdu Open, defeating Juan Pablo Varillas, becoming the first man born in the 1990 or later to hit that milestone and the 10th active men's player. He reached the semifinals, defeating Christopher O'Connell. He lost to Alexander Zverev for a 7th consecutive time, 4th straight season loss, in straight sets. In the next tournament, the China Open of the Asian Swing, he came back from a 2-6, 1-5 deficit for a second time in the season and won his first-round match against wildcard Mackenzie McDonald. Next, he defeated 3rd seed Holger Rune for his 4th top 10 win, the most since the 2017 season, to reach the quarterfinals of this tournament for the 4th time in 8 appearances. At Shanghai, he reached the 4th round, defeating 13th seed Karen Khachanov. Next, he defeated world number 2 and top seed Carlos Alcaraz to reach the quarterfinals of a Masters 1000 for the first time in the season and only the second time at this Masters. He defeated Nicolas Jarry and reached his first Masters semifinal since the 2022 Monte Carlo Masters. He lost to 6th seed Andrei Rublev. He continued his good form on the European indoor hardcourts in Vienna and defeated Lorenzo Musetti in straight sets in the first round, but lost to top seed Daniil Medvedev in the second in 3 sets. At the next Masters in Paris, he reached again the round of 16, defeating world number 3 Medvedev this time, winning at the 7th match point, his third TOP5 win within a month, and 6th top 10 of the season, tied together with Alex de Minaur. Next, he defeated Alexander Bublik in straight sets to reach back-to-back quarterfinals at a Masters level. He reached his second consecutive Masters semifinal for the season, defeating 11th seed Hubert Hurkacz for his 40th win. Next, he defeated 7th seed Stefanos Tsitsipas and reached his first Masters final since 2017, where he lost to Novak Djokovic. As a result, he returned to the top 15 at world number 14 on the 6th of November 2023. 2024, Major and Masters quarterfinals career set, 40th top 10 and 450th career wins. Starting the season at Brisbane, he reached his third final at the tournament and 18th in his career overall, defeating Andy Murray, Daniel Altmaier, wildcard Rinky Hijikata, and Jordan Thompson. He defeated top seed Holger Rune in the final to win his 9th title and first since 2017. With the title win, he recorded more match wins, 23, than any other player at this tournament. As a result, he moved to number 13 in the singles rankings on the 8th of January 2024, his highest since 2018. Seeded 13th at the 2024 Australian Open, where he made his record 52nd consecutive major appearance, he reached the second round with a win over Martin Fucsovics and then won over Kokkinakis in the second round, but lost in the third round to Nuno Borges. He reached his second final of the season in Marseille, defeating Sebastian Korda, Arthur Rinderknech, and Karen Khachanov. In the final, he lost to 4th seed Ugo Humbert. He reached back-to-back semifinals at the Rotterdam Open, defeating Lorenzo Sonego, again Martin Fucsovics, and Alexander Shevchenko. He lost in the semifinals to Alex de Minaur, ending the week with the most ATP singles wins at 13 since the beginning of the season. In Indian Wells, he reached the 4th round, defeating 2 Frenchmen, Alexander Mueller and 21st seed Adrian Manarino. As a result, he returned to his highest ranking of world number 12 on the 18th of March 2024, for the first time since the 29th of October 2018 when he was ranked at number 10. Seeded 11th at the 2024 Miami Open, he reached the quarterfinals with wins over 22nd seed Karen Khachanov and 31st seed Brandon Nakashima. He reached consecutive semifinals at the tournament, defeating 23rd seed Francisco Cerundolo after nearly 3 hours in 3 sets while saving a match point in the process. He lost to the eventual finalist Novak Djokovic in their first match since their Masters 1000 final in Paris. As he was unable to defend his finalist points, he dropped to a ranking of world number 18. During the spring clay season, Dimitrov reached the quarterfinals in Monte Carlo, the 4th round in Madrid, and the 2nd round in Rome. He lost in straight sets without winning a single game in his quarterfinal match in Monte Carlo against Alex de Minaur, in a deciding set against Gabriel Diallo in Madrid, and to Francesco Passaro in straight sets in Rome. At the French Open, despite leading 2-1 against Ethan Quinn, Dimitrov retired from his first-round match, marking his 4th consecutive Grand Slam tournament in which he retired from his match. In the summer, Dimitrov withdrew from the Queen's Club Championships due to injury. At Wimbledon, he won his first match against Yoshihito Nishioka in straight sets to record his first match win at the majors of the year. He later defeated Corentin Moutet in the second round and won against Sebastian Ofner in straight sets during the third, marking his 100th career Grand Slam win. He faced world number 1 Jannik Sinner in the fourth round, and although Dimitrov won the first 2 sets, he suffered a sudden pectoral injury in the third set and was forced to retire at his 5th consecutive Grand Slam. As a result, Dimitrov skipped Bastad and eventually the entire North American summer tournaments, including the U.S. Open. Dimitrov returned to the ATP Tour at the 2025 Rolex Paris Masters. In doubles, Dimitrov partnered Nicolas Mahut in Mahut's last tournament of his career. They lost in the first round in a match tiebreak, ending Mahut's career. In singles, Dimitrov beat Mapechi Pericard in the first round, however withdrew from his second round encounter with Daniil Medvedev, citing a shoulder injury. This brought his 2025 season to an end. National representation, Davis Cup. Dimitrov made his Davis Cup debut for Bulgaria in 2008 as a 16-year-old. Playing in front of a home crowd in Plovdiv, the teenage Dimitrov compiled an undefeated record in both singles and doubles to promote his country into the second division of the Europe/Africa zone. A 17-year-old Dimitrov returned to the Bulgarian Davis Cup team for the first round of the Davis Cup Europe/Africa zone in 2009. Dimitrov was victorious in both his singles rubbers, which led to a narrow 3-2 victory over Hungary. He would then take a few breaks from Davis Cup, which would result in Bulgaria being relegated back to the lowest division of Davis Cup. Dimitrov would return to Davis Cup competition in 2012 as a top 100 player. The Bulgarians breezed through the round-robin tournament held in their home city of Sofia and would once again be promoted to the second division of the Europe/Africa zone. Dimitrov and the Bulgarian Davis Cup team have been unable to advance past the first round since being promoted, but have been victorious in their 2 relegation ties. Olympics. Dimitrov represented Bulgaria at his maiden Olympics in 2012 London. He competed in the singles competition and advanced past the first round with a straight sets victory over Poland's Łukasz Kubot. He was then beaten by France's 12th seed Gilles Simon. Dimitrov made his second Olympic appearance in 2016 Rio, where he was beaten in the first round of the singles competition by Croatian Marin Cilic. Dimitrov skipped the 2020 Tokyo Olympics and registered to play at the ATP 250 tournament in Atlanta instead, but later withdrew, as he did not meet the minimal qualifications requirements due to non-representation in the Davis Cup. Coaching. As a child, Dimitrov was coached by his father, Dimitar, at tennis club Haskovo. As his talent became more apparent, he started to receive coaching from abroad, most notably from Spaniard Pato Alvarez, who has also coached Britain's Andy Murray. Alvarez has reportedly said that Dimitrov is the best 17-year-old he has coached.